And we're live, broadcasting from the footsteps of New York City. We are Music Matters with Jason Tramm. Thank you so much for joining our unique podcast community, where we explore the issues and challenges of the performing arts world as seen through the eyes of distinguished colleagues. Thank you so much for joining us tonight. We are delighted to announce that we hit our 1,000 subscriber mark last week, and we are growing steadily. So please remember to hit the subscribe button below and smash that bell icon for the most up-to-date information on upcoming guests and topics. We've decided to work even harder to bring you the most exciting artists from a variety of genres, from classical music, which is my background, to the really exciting places we've explored, like rock music, pop music, we've been world music. So all music is so exciting to dig into, and the artists are all so interesting. So please remember to subscribe. Also, if you want to see our library of 110 past episodes, join our website at www.jasontram.net, and you can see our library of past guests and our upcoming guests and topics. So hope you can join us there. You can also join our mailing list there as well. We have a wonderful guest today, Miss Kendra Erika, a pop sensation who has got 3 songs on the Billboard dance charts, and we're delighted that she can join us. She's been a professional singer since her teenage years, and we're so excited she's here. Welcome, Kendra.
Hello, thank you so much for having me on the show today. I'm so glad that you guys hit 1,000 subscribers, and I love the fact that I am on the 113th episode because I study numerology, and like 1 + 1 is 2 and 2 + 3 is 6 number. So, and it's been great vibes talking to you prior to this. So.
Well, it's great to get to know you, and I've really enjoyed getting to know your music before that, and exciting. Your career has kind of launched, and you've built quite a following on social media. I've been looking at your Instagram page and listening to your music on YouTube and Spotify, and it's really coming together in a beautiful way, so congratulations.
Thank you. Yeah, it's been a journey, and even amidst all these this time of ours, the momentum has been constant, which is consistency is everything. So in order to keep one's livelihood and passion going, you can't let outside influences deter you from that pathway.
It's been so hard being a creative artist in the COVID period. There's so much negativity all the time. And to be able to be truly creative, you have to put that out of your mind and really focus on the art and the music that's in front of you.
You really do, and you have to just go back to basics, to grassroots, because with all the bells and whistles at our disposal now, it's very important to go back to those primary core values, which are family, quality, and what really speaks to you in a very direct and smooth voice. For me, my platform is child trafficking and education for children, which are very core values, which I've always been very steadfast about. However, during these times, especially with child trafficking becoming even more mainstream in the climate as we've seen, it's been very important to me, and using my platform and my voice as a vehicle to propel that and to be of an advocate in preventing and just being a part of that. It's been wonderful. So.
Well, I applaud you. That's we desperately need to address these issues in society. Child trafficking is one of the most deplorable things, and anything we can do to stop that. And if we do that through our music, that is a very powerful statement to make, and it raises awareness for a lot of people. So I really applaud what you're doing there.
Thank you. Yeah, and the Song of Hope video, which recently was released, every view and share. Portions of the proceeds go to War Child, and War Child is an organization that is a grand slam in my 2 core values, which are education for children and preventing trafficking. So
Well, we can talk about that later, and we'll definitely link that in the description so people can find out more about that really important organization. Why don't we go back to your education? Did you
Yeah.
always know you wanted to be an artist? Did you always know that you wanted to have a career in the arts?
Oh, I did. I always wanted to do this. I mean, when I was little, watching and growing up on all the Disney movies, I was like, that's what I want to do. That seems fun. And then when
Especially
I
Brave, I assume.
yeah,
I have two
well,
redheads. I have twin redheads, and they when that movie came out, they were like that age. It was like redhead Brave.
well, for me, it was the Little Mermaid.
Ah, yep.
And yeah, and I'm over here like, if that ever gets canceled, I'm gonna come after someone.
People who lost their voices, maybe you have to watch out.
I know. But yeah, I grew up on those movies, and it just seemed like it just drew me to that, and I wanted to perform, however that may be, however that sort of approach would be, and I got involved in community theater, but I didn't really have the the skills under my belt, but I did have the confidence, and I knew that that's what I wanted to do. And I then got into classical training at a young age of 8, 10 years old, and really set a foundation for myself. And that foundation led me to territories that I never thought that I could go into. And it's been a journey, and it's been an evolution for sure.
We have a lot of young people listen to the show. A lot of people who want to be artists or are training artists. And so, what are some things that you're training that you remember that you brought with you, like when you're backstage getting ready for a show? How do you use your training, and what do you remember from that?
I just remember doing a lot of, breathing exercises, getting, different warm-ups. Right now for me, everything it has just been like so so recognized and so memorized that now whenever I go out on stage, it just happens, which is such a blessing, because that's the place that I've always wanted to be at, is from a young age. It's just to go out and just let it rip, basically. But
My first voice teacher used to say, "Heart on fire, head on ice" when you're performing.
yes,
I love that.
um, and yeah, and then just performing locally at different lounges and restaurants. I got my first restaurant gig at 15, 16 years of age. I went into an Italian restaurant called of that time Renzo's in Boca Raton, Florida, and I went in there on a karaoke night, and because I had mastered "Time to Say Goodbye" by Andrea Bocelli.
Con
I went in.
te partirò. It's a great song.
Oh, I know. Oh, now I want like caprese salad.
Awesome.
Yeah. Oh, now I want parmigiano. But but I went in there, and I sang that on for as a karaoke act, basically. And I did a pretty good job at that particular song, that the owner Renzo just came over to our table with two really full wine glasses in his hand, sits down, and I'm with my parents, and he's like, "I've got the proposition."
An
And
offer you can't refuse.
I know, I'm like, I'm 15. I didn't do anything mobbish. Like, you know, like, what did I do? But he's like, I have a proposition. And he sits down and he says, listen, my Sunday singer just left, and excuse me, and I just wanted to see if you wanted to fill that spot. And I was like, sure. I took it.
How exciting is it to get your first gig, right?
Oh yeah, it was like cause going out with my parents before, I would always see singers at lounges and whatnot, and it always just seemed like a fun thing to do. And being that this was a field that I wanted to pursue, it just laid the groundwork for getting that particular opportunity. And then from there, other um, owners would owners of other establishments would come in and see me, and then that would lead to another placement, another opportunity, this, that, yada yada yada, mamma mia. And and then from there, I just started getting involved with some talent agencies and developers, and that's how I was introduced to producers in Miami, which then led to producers in New York, and then eventually led me out to Los Angeles, and that's where everything really started to take shape and move its way in the Billboard dance direction.
So when you did your first recording, how old were you?
I was first recording. I was like 16. Yeah,
Wow. And
yeah.
what was that like hearing yourself on tape for the first time and being in the studio and putting that together? What was the feeling when you were there?
I felt like Lizzie McGuire.
Fantastic.
it was like a dream. I'm like, oh my God, is this? I was like, is this what Hillary Duff does? Is this what Lindsay Lohan does? Oh my God. That was my mentality back then. As you can tell, it's completely fiction legend. But I created a reality out of it. But
It is magic. I mean, it is magic. You get to create something that people can enjoy all over the world that gets disseminated so widely, and it's got to be like magic.
yeah, well, it's a very it's actually a very what's the word? It's like it's sort of seeing something go from like an embryonic stage to a full to birthing of full grown baby, basically. Not that I've experienced that or anything, but yet. But it's just that's how I correlate it. That's how I relate it to.
Did you have were your parents in the music business? Were they musicians?
Nope, not at all. None. My my like I was saying before we started recording. My my I think I got my tone deafness from my dad. Because I'm always wondering, like, where did I get this thing from? And then he starts to sing a Frank Sinatra song, and I'm like, Dad, stay here. You don't go here. Don't go here. Just here.
Here's the key. Stay in the key.
Yeah, stay here, please. Um, and then my mom, she just dabbled in piano in throughout school. And my grandma on my mom's side, she was just in choir when she lived in Germany. And on my dad's side, they were both just they were golfers and analytics. So I don't know where. I think I'm just a byproduct of the pool boy, to be quite honest. Um,
Well, wherever
I,
the talent comes from, sometimes it skips generations. There's that kind of
yeah,
recessive musical talent that comes out, and then you
sometimes
know
it is.
when when artists are born, they're performing. It's like I knew I wanted to be in the arts when I was born. I didn't know what I wanted to do. I just knew that it was something to be. I wanted that stage excitement, and I love to be around the action and to work with artists. And it's so much fun to talk to artists like you. And so you put out your first recording, and what have you learned being in the studio for almost over a decade now?
What I've learned is just to be. I'm very hard on myself in the studio, and I think it's just because of the fact that just knowing that it hasn't been easy to acquire the instrument and to learn the instrument. So like I get hard on myself, and this is just me being like candid. Like if and it's not from my from it's it's not from how other people are receiving it, because with the producers that I've been working with, they're like, oh my god, you sound good. I'm like, do I? But like, do I? You know, there's always that like self-doubt, because I've had to work for this, and you know it wasn't just you know, magic wanded to me upon birth. It's not like I had, like I was laying in the basket and the little fairies came in and they were like, here, you'll have the gift of voice.
You are a
No,
gifted mezzo singer.
yeah, no, I didn't have that. Like, and as much as I watch Sleeping Beauty, I'm like, why? You know, I'm like,
You know
why?
what? When you work hard to get the technical foundation, then
Yeah.
you've got the skill that when you start working it and, and it gets harder, you're ready to deal with challenges and the vocal fatigue. You learn how to deal with that better, and it just gives you a great foundation.
It really does. And you know, whenever I'm doing harmonies, which is the most challenging part of recording, because you're literally competing hearing yourself. And most of the time I tell whomever I'm working with, I'm like, can you just shut me up for a second, because I need to sing this correctly. I don't want to hear myself at all. But I but yeah, it's been an it's been a climb, and it's been a process, and it's going to continue being a process for me, especially in the growth aspect, because I'm always going up a notch and up a notch, and testing the limits, which I feel is there are quite quite few, because the sky is my limit.
That's awesome, and you've been rising up steadily since, and you have to keep challenging yourself to get to your potential, which is part of
Yeah,
the challenge of being an artist.
it is. You know, and then you're always, you know, reeling yourself back in, because sometimes you just get in your either in your head too much, or you start, comparing yourself with other people, which I'm constantly working on not trying to do, because I keep on saying, I value my individuality, my originality, and my authenticity. And but it's challenging when, throughout your career, that you've seen people, like, drop out of high school when you're just trying to finish your education, and dropping out of high school to pursue, careers in, Disney, Nickelodeon. And it's like, oh, but like I want to do that. No, but like I wanted to like do right by me. And it's always just been a challenge to not compare myself to others, because I'm in a total other league, quite honestly. And I've just had to constantly, check myself.
I guess
For
social media is such a loaded weapon like that, because we all see this kind of glossy version of what Hillary Duff's doing, or whatever the pop singer du jour is,
yeah.
and we all want to, then we compare ourselves. That's natural. I do the same with conductors, and I kind of look around and say, oh, they're conducting in Italy right now, but yet you can only live your own reality.
Yeah, and as we know, these falsify a reality. Like they, for me, I just like to keep everything um about like who I am in in my personality, and I don't like to, you know, commercialize too much, because then it just becomes too blasé, becomes a little bit too 1 inch crust, where I just like to for people to see like what's inside of the pie, like the actual sustenance of it. And you know, as you said, it's just like I just at this point, I just either look at travel reels, you know, cat videos, or I look at beautiful decadent sushi photos. And
Ooh.
that yeah, and that's what keeps me just like centered. You know, because when I start looking, I'm like, I just get that rush again, like, oh no, I have to do this. And I just can't live in I just don't want to live in FOMO because it's, you know, it's them that should have the FOMO.
That's awesome. So let's go into your recordings. What was the first song that made the charts, and tell us about that. What was it like putting it together, and did you know that song had legs like it did?
Self-control. So yeah, self-control. It wasn't. I didn't write it. It was a rendition of Laura Branigan's. Actually, if we're gonna go really deep and back into history,
Oh,
um,
please.
it was originally sung by an Italian pop star called who's by the name of Raph, who was signed to Carrier, and and I actually did a couple of few tracks with Fred Cannon, who was a big who had a big hand in that French label, and I was introduced to the song by hearing Raph's version first. So when people are like Laura Branigan, and she's wonderful, I'm like, I heard it originally from out of Raph's mouth, but then I heard Laura Branigan's version, and I was like, oh my god, she did this whole spin, you know, because you could hear the Euro pop in Raph's, and then you could hear the American take on it, and then I was like, hmm, I want to see if I can, you know, take this song more into the future. And
What's the Kendra treatment?
the Kendra treatment, well, the Kendra treatment was just me um, laying my vocals down to a track that was created by Damon Sharp, and that all that's how the self control sandwich was made.
How long did it take to put that whole thing together in the studio?
Not long, only like a day and a half, I want to say. Yeah, because Damon and I like work very fast. It's it's almost like Energizer battery, really. Like, because you know, you just put two people that are empaths that understand each other into the studio together, and you're able to finish each other's sentences, and you're just able to have a good rapport, which then shines through into what you record and what you have have put together.
It's exciting. And where do you record it? Just give us a day in the life. What's it like being in the studio, putting something like this together? What does a studio day like that look like for people who may have never been there before?
Well, for me, I always just like to, if it's a new person or a new person I'm working with, I always just like to ask them questions, get to know them, have, you know, I just don't like to just jump in and be like, hey, let's write a song, you know. Hey, you know, I just don't like doing that, because then it just takes away, and then that quality, however low it will be attached to your name, which is, you know, nothing that I want to, you know, be affiliated with. So I like to just get to the nitty gritty, like the deeper side. I like for my projects to have depth and meaning. So I like to have these philosophical conversations, these meaningful conversations. I just like to, you know, joke around, share laughs, because that energy then goes into the project. And however good the energy is, and however the energy is at that time, will then once again shine through. So
Beautiful, very very eloquent, and very insightful into your process. And where do you record? Where have you done most of your recordings?
I've done most of them in Los Angeles, but I've worked with a few others in New York and in Nashville, and also in South Florida in Miami.
Fantastic. And is there different performing scenes in each city? And do you take something different with you when you go there or when you come away from there?
Well, it's really interesting. I mean, every recording session is gonna offer something new. So I'm just like, have at it. This is all a part. This is all a part of the growth process as being an artist, and every every deal, every uh, every song, every project is gonna have its own mark and leave its own imprint on your or footprint in your along your trail.
That's a good point. That everything is a growth opportunity, and you grow with it and into your career. How about your songwriting? We talked a little bit about collaborations. What's it like? When did you write your first song, and how has that changed through the course of your career?
uh when I tell you that I was almost gonna be I was like, instead of Hannah Montana, I was gonna be like Kendra Kentucky. um yeah.
You're from Florida, so be Kendra.
it,
I can't come up with it. Ocala.
Kendra Kendra Key West.
There you go. That's a good one.
Yeah. um I actually prefer Key Largo if you want me to be as pretentious as possible, but
That's got some good Beach Boy overtones there.
definitely. But the first song I ever recorded was a song called For You. It was produced by Dave and Johnny Yulka. They they out of Miami. They've now moved to Cleveland, but I was introduced to them through Fabian Hernandez, who is a very talented songwriter who's actually considered the mayor of Miami and South Beach, because
Wow.
he just knows everybody. I'm just like, it's like you. Yeah, it's like walking with him in South Beach. It's like everyone knows his name. I'm just like, it's like your life is like Cheers, okay? Um, but I wrote that song. It's called For You. It can be found out there if you YouTube it. But I mean, it was so like Disney inspoed, very very bubblegum, very much like, don't worry girl, you're gonna get a prom date no matter what, had that undertone and overtone, really. But yeah, the
You are
song,
what you are at that time, right? That's where you were at that time, and we have to reflect that.
I know. Yeah, and like people always ask me like, oh, what was your best, your worst, and I'm just like, there I like, what is this, like a Chicago food tour, the best pizza, the best burger, the best this? I'm like, everything was at its point in time nostalgic. Everything was as it was, and everything will be as it will be. So I have to appreciate what I was at that certain point in time, and I have to appreciate where I am at this certain point in time, because everything is like I said, an evolution, and every single stage and phase that you go through just is organically natural and organically necessary.
It's amazing, and how your life evolves. And I always tell my students that being an artist is not a sprint; it's a marathon, and you're constantly creating and you're evolving with your life.
Yeah, it's yeah, that's really interesting that you say it's not a sprint, it's a marathon because going back to the whole social media aspect of it, it's you know, a lot of people mistakenly view everything as being a sprint because of the instant gratification. And it's just like, yo, it's like you're not gonna be like balling out at some club with bottle service tomorrow. Like it's like it doesn't really happen like that. But and as far as the whole music aspect of all this goes, the the marathon is what creates and generates more of those timeless pieces, because what I've observed is that everything is so quick, like everything has become such a machine. Like I've been in the same studio space as camps that are writing for either this person, that person. I don't really like to name drop it at all, but
Oh, come on.
this that person. Okay,
Feel free.
Rihanna,
There you go.
Rihanna, BB Rexa,
I've heard of her.
Bieber. Okay, um, and it's just these songwriters are so pressured. And first of all, I'm like, where's the artist? Where's the artist in this whole process? Um, but like these songwriters are just like pressured to write like at such a fast pace that they're just like throwing out words and throwing down words like I love it, and it's like it's catchy, but I'm like, where's the sustenance? Where's the depth? Where's the meaning? And it's just, there's a machine aspect to it that will probably or probably not still continue to be around. But it's very interesting how everyone just is so engulfed in the instant gratification of things, and how it's actually become more of quantity, as opposed to quality. And that's where I feel like I just want to break the wheel of, no pun intended, but is to within my own self then radiate that out into the whole spectrum of reintroducing quality, and allowing that to take over.
Well, the quality shows in your songwriting and the songs. I've heard so many of them. There's a depth there. When you write songs, do the lyrics come first? Does the music come first? Is it a hybrid? How do you approach your songwriting?
It's circle D, all of the above. Sometimes the lyrics come first, sometimes the melody comes first, sometimes they both come through the door at once. And I'm like, whoa, 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 one at a time. But no, I invite them both in. They're fine. But
Samantha, we have a question from Samantha from Palm Beach, and she says, "Break the Wheel." In your song "Break the Wheel," what is that about? She likes that song. Wants to know what it's about.
so the title alone was inspired by Daenerys Targaryen in Game of Thrones.
I thought it would be. Yeah.
Yeah, because remember, she was like, I want to break the wheel. When I heard that, I'm like, ding. I'm like, can I just borrow that for a second?
Anything Game of Thrones that I'm in, just take away the last season. Otherwise, great show.
It's so funny, like, not to get off track, but like nowadays, if you're ever out, they're my dad and there's always been the saying, like, never discuss politics, religion, sports. Never discuss the Game of Thrones finale at a bar ever. Like, the biggest fights will break out.
Well,
Because some
they had
people,
no source material to work with. They just threw it together. We need to end this somehow so we can get on to another project. And like,
I know it's like if it explodes in arguments on Facebook, you probably shouldn't mention it out. Um, but yeah, the song was inspired by Breaking the Wheel, because as you know, Daenerys's whole her whole cause was to get rid of bureaucracy and totalitarianism and just getting rid of that kind of authority that just doesn't know what it's talking about when it comes to how people should live their lives, and this whole song is is very much a tribute to the whole social media culture, by not having like breaking the wheel on not looking the same as everyone else. You know, sort of on the music culture, which is, like I said, instead of it being this machine, why don't we go back to basics and grassroots and figure out like who the artist actually is, and also just about the world in general, just like breaking the wheel of a certain cycle and a system that's that that has a lot of different flaws, and so we just need to once again just power back to the people, and so that's where that whole grand inspiration came from, was just from a night watching Game of Thrones and me just like sipping on my wine and being like, can I borrow that, and never giving it back, thank you.
art inspires art. I love that when like a painting or a great show and it finds its way into another piece of art, and there it is.
Exactly, yeah, so that's really where Break the Wheel was inspired by, and it's very prevalent today, and I'm like looking back and I'm like, did I like foresee any of this happening? It's just it's kind of I don't know. I'm like constantly questioning myself. I'm like, do I have do I have like that thing that Marvel always shows us, like
Well, you
am
find
I
the find that
am I WandaVision?
you find that zeitgeist, you find that kind of that niche, and it's you just have to keep
Mhm.
bumping yourself, and that's the most important thing.
Yeah.
And
So
you're actually very genuine. That shows through in your music. I think today there's a huge indie artist culture, and people, they don't want the glitz and the glam. They want the person. They want to get to know the person. And I think, can you imagine if Sinatra had social media? We know what people eat. It's like people put that on their Instagram. I mean, for Sinatra had this mystique about him because we didn't know some of that stuff.
and oh my God, I'm getting chills that you said that, because Frank Sinatra is my spirit animal.
Yeah.
One because he sang very clearly. His message was very clear as well, and also his style, just his style. Stylistically, he's so praised by me. And the fact that my dad grew me up on his work and his music legacy is just it's noted, and it's highly pedestaled and
Oh,
appreciated.
an American original for all of us. Me too. I'm a huge Sinatra fanatic. So tell me about your videos. How did you get into videos, and when was the first video you did, and how has that evolved? Because your videos are gorgeous, really, really gorgeous. Cinematography, direction, of course, your singing and your action. I mean, what's it like making a video?
It's long. It's a long process.
I can
but
imagine.
it's enjoyable. And the first, well, to answer your question about the first video that I made, it was actually for a cover of Besame Mucho. Like this was such this is such like an amateur video that I did, but it was the first video that there was actual, playback, and I had an earpiece in my ear, and I was lip singing all around Ocean Drive in South Beach, and that was basically the first music video I did, and then from then on, every experience became more professional after the other, and now it's just there. It's just I know the process going into it. It's just like filming anything else. It's just like filming, a movie, which I've done before, filming a TV show. It's you just film, you map out what you want to capture, and you just go ahead and you just capture those scenes, and you just piece it together, and then you're involved in the editing, and it's a process. Some videos take a day, some of them take half a day, some of them take 2 days, and it's just every music video has been enjoyable, especially for Avalanche, when I froze my ass off. But literally,
So the ice piano was real.
it was real. Yeah.
Wow. That's hardcore.
Oh yeah, it was after 3 hours, that mofo was dripping.
It's a lot of energy you got to put out there when you're singing, and so you're actually lip syncing when you record those, right?
Yeah, well, I like to actually sing on top of, to legitimize everything, so it doesn't look, you know, fake or anything, presumptuous. But yeah, I actually just like to sing on top of it. And then, I mean, like towards the end, I'm like, okay, whatever shots that you need, I just don't want to get sick of my song anymore. Like, I just get the shots that you need without me having to sing the song again. Because I'm like, I don't want to get sick of it. Like, if I have to perform it, I want to be able to like really give it my all, and I just don't want to get sick of it.
I can tell you have such a great perfectionist attitude, like a real artist attitude. I really appreciate that. So how does live performing influence your studio? Do you have to perform pieces you write live first? And how does a piece change from performing it live till you put it down in the studio?
So it actually happens in reverse. I record it in the studio
Oh,
first, and then I perform it live.
cool.
With self control. I when I would be performing out at local, lounges, clubs, whichever venue it was, I would always do the Laura Branigan version. I would always sing that. So I already had that melody and the song basically at the back of my hand. So then when it came time to recording my own version, I was able to just already had the lyrics memorized. I knew the ebb and flow of it, and it was a smooth sailing ride.
Now, for someone who was used to doing like 50% studio, 50% live performing, what's it been like in the COVID period watching all of those performances go to 0% and your recordings being your outlet? How have you adapted to that?
So before COVID, I was always performing. Um, every weekend, I had a steady at a high end lounge in Boca, and that stopped. And then I had another intimate steady at a wine bar that stopped. And being that it was such an intimate venue, being so close to each other, that it just couldn't work out safely. But and then on top of that, I was always traveling back and forth. Like I was going from, like, my life was Boca to Beverly, Beverly to Boca, because when I would go out to California, Los Angeles, I wanted to keep the air and environment consistent. So that's why I was like Boca to Beverly.
72 and sunny.
Yeah, just Boca to Beverly. Great. But if I wasn't in Los Angeles, I'd be in New York or wherever, Vegas, um, or wherever I would be asked to perform at, like Chicago, Atlanta, wherever. So that came to a halt. Thank God I'm getting back. I starting back in this past July, I was getting back into my mojo of, going out to Vegas, shooting the So Flying Avalanche video, and then from there I was like, okay, travel is somewhat normal now. It's back to approximate normalcy, so I can do this now. But that's been really important for me. But as far as live performances, I've only done one. Let me see. I've only done one live performance, and that was in Atlanta at Heretic, a gay club. And I had performed there once before, and they were just really excited, more so to go out, but they were also excited to,
What was
for
it
me.
like to get back in front of an audience, a live audience again? What did it feel like?
It was like it was like an alternate universe kind of a feeling for me, because for so long we've been so separated, and then getting back into the crowds of it. It felt somewhat, there was a small, like, disconnect, but yet again the crowd was ever wild, ever passionate, and that just let me know that, okay, we're on the right path. We're coming back. We're coming back. And I just have to say that as far as the recording aspect goes, I was able to do more things remotely and virtual, which was wonderful, because then I could still keep up my collaborations. All Although the travel aspect was, subtracted, I was able to find a loophole, which is through technology.
We certainly have come light years over this last year in terms of telecommunications and what we can do like that. It's
Yeah.
pretty incredible, and I think some of this is going to carry over in a positive way because we've had to kind of learn to adapt, and I think that's kind of come with maybe the silver lining in all this.
Yeah, well, I always say that the silver lining of these times that we've gone through is, the world, I feel, for creatives, we've felt this more significantly than most others, but the world came to a halt. The world came to a place of silence, and so therefore, like, the air was clearer, and so you were able to hear ideas more, especially for me. I'm not speaking for everyone, but this is just from what I experienced, because prior to that, everyone was just going, but, like, they were working hard, just not working smarter, and working smarter means, like, finding out what it is that you want, what speaks to you, what doesn't speak to you, um, and focusing more on those quality values, like health, happiness. Does working on this make me happy, or should I look at something else to really place my abilities on? And for me, it was a great opportunity for me to to really grow and to become something that the the little girl version of myself would be like yay about. um and that's what the whole silver lining is all about, and just increasing the quality of life around me.
Wonderful. So, what might the next chapter be look like for you, for us, as we watch as you start to put out new material? What should we be on the lookout for?
So I have 3 other songs that will be released as singles, which will then lead into an album releasing at the end of this year. If not this year, then early next year. But I'm pushing for the end of this year. And this album is going to be I'm just going to let it speak for itself, because I'm just not. I used to do cheerleading in elementary school, and I'll leave it there. I'll leave it there because now I just let things speak for themselves. And that's that's what's really cool about the stuff that I have coming out, is that it does have this nice gravitas, and it does have this like this edge, and this sense that this woman knows who she is and where she's going. So
Powerful, very powerful words, and we're all looking forward to hearing that. What's it like watching your pieces and hearing from fans and people who are really connecting with your music from all over the world? What's it like when you get those type of messages? How does it make you feel?
oh, it makes me feel great. I love the messages of, send pick of Bob's. Those are, I get a laugh out of that. Bob's meaning, and for when I get, no, just in foreign language, that means this area. But.
I'm sure you get a few of those.
Oh, yeah.
Unfortunately, yeah.
I also get marriage proposals, and it's very overwhelming, because I feel like I'm on The Bachelorette already. Like, if I were to go on that show, uh, I would have already had training in it. Um, but just getting good feedback is always it's always a a pleasant sight to see, because you read it with your eyes. But when I hear it, from people on the street, or in my own backyard, and or on my own neighborhood, it's very nice. It's very nice, because as I said, this journey has not really been the easiest for me. Although I do come from a very supportive family. It's just that whole sentiment of like, okay, like when's the next thing gonna happen? Like, when is it my turn? And this is me just speaking very candidly and honestly. And I feel that now, in this day and age, there's going to be a sort of shift in the industry, which will then allow me to then step through it, in a way that I've always envisioned myself stepping into it.
Well, these next years, we will look forward to watching that emerge as you continue to make beautiful art, and can't wait to hear the release of the new album.
Yeah, I mean, it just Spotify it up and put on your playlist, and when you have people over, just drop it on and just let it rip.
Okay, well, we'll put it in the chat, but we'll put it in the link to your YouTube channel. How can people find out more about your work?
You can find me from my website, kendraerika.com. You can go on Facebook, facebook.com/Kendra Erika Music. I'm on Instagram as well. That's at Kendra Erika. And then Twitter is also at Kendra Erika. And I'm also on TikTok. But if you, but TikTok is more for my cat, really. Yeah, my cat steals.
What's your cat's name?
Miko Rose. Yeah, yeah, I know. She has 2 first names. Mommy created a monster.
Awesome.
So,
Kendra, thank you so much for joining us on Music Matters. Really appreciate it, and continued success on your artistic journey.
Wonderful, thanks, and thank you for having me on tonight. It was a wonderful time.
All the best. Thank you for joining us on Music Matters with Jason Tramm. Please remember to subscribe to us on YouTube and smash that bell icon for the most up-to-date information on upcoming guests and topics. Our next 2 shows are on Saturday, on March 13th, 12 noon, high noon Eastern Standard Time. We have Stephen Labrie, an opera singer baritone making a huge name in the field. He was recently featured in the New York Times in an article. And then we have 2 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. We have Colin Britt, a composer and choral conductor who's made a big name for himself in New York City, and we're delighted to have them both. So thank you so much for joining us, and remember, keep music alive.